Good evening. Welcome to Inside Out. I'm Pat Smith, and this is where we take you inside state, local, and federal government to bring information out to you. Helping me do that tonight is a candidate for the House of Delegates here in Maryland from District 20, Will Smith. Will, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Good. Tell us about yourself. You're a local guy?
Sure. Yeah, that's right. I was born in Silver Spring, born and raised here. I was born at Holy Cross Hospital. I went to high school here, and after high school I went to the College of William & Mary. After graduating from the College of William & Mary, I went to Johns Hopkins University for my master's degree.
Where did you get your master's?
It's a master's degree in government.
Okay.
And then went back to William & Mary to get my law degree, and came back here to practice law and to get plugged back into the community.
Mm-hmm. And what did you do when you first came back? Were you practicing law here in Montgomery County?
Sure. When I was in grad school, I was an AmeriCorps volunteer. I was here locally. I worked for Impact Silver Spring, which is a local nonprofit organization that focuses in on bringing the community together, helping them to avail themselves of the county resources and connecting different communities within the county to build a stronger and more resilient community. Mm-hmm. After AmeriCorps, I went back to law school, and then when I came back, I just plugged in. I sit on a number of community boards and county commissions. Currently, I work at a public policy firm in Washington, D.C.
Good for you. So what brings you to this point that you want to run for the House of Delegates?
Sure. Well, it's really my parents' life example. My parents were born in the 30s and the 40s at the tail end of Jim Crow and were young adults at the height of the civil rights movement. And their life's example really was a great roadmap to public service, and it showed me the importance of public service and giving back. Now, my parents put all their resources into me, into their children. I'm the first person in my family to go to college. My dad drove a cab. My mother worked in the federal government. And their life's example and their struggle was really something that opened my eyes to the importance of public service and giving back. And that's why I did AmeriCorps. That's why I was commissioned as an officer in the United States Navy. And that's why I wanted to serve in the Obama administration as a presidential appointee. I was director of the Homeland Security Advisory Council. And that's why now I think this is the best way to give back to the community that I've lived in my entire life.
Well, let's talk about the Homeland Security job as director of the Advisory Council. That was a full-time job?
It's a full-time job. It was a Schedule C appointment. I was there for about 2 years. It's a FACA committee. We produce a set of recommendations for the Secretary of Homeland Security on topics ranging from sustainability and efficiency, basically helping the department as the third largest government department become more sustainable and efficient, getting a greener fleet, helping some of our real estate become more energy efficient with LEED certification, to public-private partnerships for our ports of entry. So it was really a tremendous insight and opportunity to advise the Secretary and also get really into the weeds in some of the most important issues facing our nation.
Was it a 2-year appointment, or did you just choose to leave after 2 years?
No, it's an appointment. You serve at the pleasure of the President. It's a Schedule C appointment, so as long as the President won re-election, we were going to have a job. But like I said, it was time to move on and pursue other opportunities, and I think that also being in the federal government, you can't run for public office. So I chose to go to a firm downtown working on similar issues so that I could pursue this opportunity.
Okay. What are the issues you see as primary in this District 20 contest? I understand there'll be many people running. There's an open seat for House of Delegates with Heather Mazur running for governor.
That's right. Heather Mazur is served our delegation with distinction for 2 terms now. She's running for governor, and I think she's got a tremendous shot with that. So that'll open up a spot. Last time around, I was the campaign manager for the team, the District 20 team. Oh, so I managed that process, so I got to know her really well, and I'm really proud of her and wish her the best. The last 2 sessions in the legislature were tremendously successful, especially from a progressive standpoint of view. We passed meaningful gun legislation, repealed the death penalty, marriage equality, and the DREAM Act, passed meaningful environmental legislation with wind farms. So we've made tremendous progress, but there's still so much to do, especially with respect to the district, which is an extremely activist and progressive district. So Education, especially with my personal background, being the first in my family to graduate from college, is of prime importance to me. More particularly, the achievement gap. Closing the achievement gap is important. Transportation is also a huge issue, especially with the Purple Line. The governor just recently made an announcement that will give a $680 million infusion of money for the construction of the Purple Line, which will run right through District 20. And also supporting our small businesses, the local economy is of prime importance to me as well. Small businesses really make up the character of our district. In District 20, Tacoma Park and Silver Spring is full of small businesses like Kifa Cafe, like the Capital City Cheesecake, and the like. And so support of those small businesses and minority businesses in that district is something that's really important to me as well.
Well, one of the issues we see bantered about is the minimum wage issue.
Absolutely.
And if you're trying to, the argument goes that if you're trying to encourage people to come in or to have businesses here in Maryland and to create jobs, that raising minimum wages defeats that purpose, as you're seeing in the District of Columbia right now with the big
That's
box
right.
stores.
With, Walmart coming in.
They're trying to isolate the big box stores and have a different rate for them than anybody else.
That's right.
How do you deal with that
It's
issue?
funny that you mentioned Washington, D.C., because oddly enough, Washington, D.C. and 19 other states have higher minimum wages than Maryland, although Maryland has one of the highest costs of living. Currently right now in Maryland, the minimum wage is about $7.25. And the living wage for Montgomery County and for District 20 is around $13.20. So there's a huge void there, and raising the minimum wage will help folks that actually live and serve in the community to reinvest in the community and live in the community. It will also open up avenues for folks that are living on the minimum wage to avail themselves of certain goods and services that are critical. Everyday items like grocery items, even public health items are things that are just out of their grasp if you're operating on a $7.25, which is roughly $15,000 a year of income, which is simply not sustainable. You can't live on that in Montgomery County today.
Right. I don't know where you could live on it.
Well, exactly right. That's exactly right.
$15,000. Things just continue to change all the time. On the Purple Line, my understanding is it has not been set in stone as to whether it goes inside the Beltway or outside the Beltway. Does it follow that Capital Beltway Trail or whatever it is?
That's right.
Or does it go outside the Beltway? What is your position on that? I have a preference that it not go to Bethesda, that it go outside the Beltway and go to Grosvenor. But
I understand that. No, I fully support the Purple Line, especially with respect to District 20. The Purple Line is going to provide a tremendous and affordable amount of a mode of transportation connecting College Park all the way to Bethesda for folks crossing county lines and within county lines. In District 20, it will run right through the heart of our district, and it's estimated that it will take 17,000 cars off of the road. Estimated 77,000 people will ride it a day. It'll promote smart growth. It'll promote a more walkable community within District 20. It's going to provide an affordable mode of transportation for folks. So I'm fully supportive of its implementation. But one thing I want to do is ensure that the local businesses and the local communities that are affected by its construction are brought to the table during that process. For instance, on Bonifant Road, which is in downtown Silver Spring, it's a quarter-mile stretch of land that the Purple Line is going to run right through. At least it's scheduled to. It's right by the new public library in downtown Silver Spring. There are a number of small and local businesses that are going to be tremendously affected by that construction and operation. Right now, it's a two-lane road with parking lining both sides. After the construction, and the operation of the Purple Line will be a one-lane road, and 17 parking spaces will be eliminated. So it's going to be more difficult for consumers to access these storefronts, which is of great concern to them, obviously. A lot of these local businesses have been there for 17 years and on. Where I've gotten a haircut for the last 15 years, Ebony Barbers, that business is going to be affected. A personal friend of mine owns Straw Studios, Hair Studios, is just right across the street. That business is going to be affected. Kifa Cafe, where I enjoy my coffee on the weekends, it's been there for 17 years now, an anchor of the community. That will be affected. They're all afraid of what this construction and operation will do. So, from the state perspective, what you can do is provide some sort of tax relief. It's an idea. you can provide some sort of tax relief for certain goods and services that will incentivize the local consumers to continue patronizing those stores, and will give the business a little bit of a relief as well. We've done that in Maryland. We're doing it now for school supplies, and we've done it with the Buy Maryland, which is wildly successful as well. So we've done this type of thing from the state perspective, and that's something that the state can do. That's something that a delegate can advocate for to help ensure that those small and local businesses that really make up the fabric of our district are still there after the Purple Line is implemented and put in place.
So you addressed that it would be going right down Bonifant Street, underground.
No, it's going to be above ground. It'll be an above ground operation.
So all of the Purple Line will be a light rail above ground.
That's my understanding of it. That's right.
Where can viewers go to view what the projected line will be?
Well, the state has a number of resources that you can access online. A simple Google search is also something you can do. But a great organization, Purple Line Now, has a lot of information that will be beneficial for folks that are concerned about its construction, its funding, its operation, and what the residual effects will be.
I'll have to do that. I'm very interested in seeing what would happen. I'm sure we're well behind the wave as far as being able to have any impact on it whatsoever.
That's right.
Whatever you can do, I don't know. What is your position on other transportation resolutions? For instance, in downtown Bethesda, with NIH and then the Naval Hospital, all of the base relocation stuff, Walter Reed up there now. People are sitting on the Beltway to get off at Connecticut Avenue to go to Jones Bridge Road, and the same to get off at 355. It's a dangerous situation the way those vehicles are backed up.
Well, that's right. Well, I'm in the Navy Reserve, so I go there for my medical at least once a year, and I'm there occasionally for other business, for other Navy business. But that is in District 16, which is right next to us, and a lot of the effects were just simply with cars on the road, a lot of traffic congestion, and that's why I think, again, the Purple Line is something that's essential not only for Montgomery County, not only for District 20, but for all of Montgomery County, because it's going to get those cars off of the road. It's going to promote smart growth. It's going to get people, it's going to provide for a more walkable community. And so the Purple Line, that's, again, why I'm a huge proponent of its construction and operation. And I applaud the governor's work and announcement, last Wednesday of a recent infusion of money that's going to bring it up to help our state funding of $680 million. And we're also looking into options for public-private partnerships to help build and then also maintain the Purple Line after it's built. So I'm excited about that because it's going to get cars off the road. It's going to get, especially Wisconsin Avenue over in 16, is treacherous. If you starting around lunch, you've got the mid-morning rush hour, you've got the lunch rush hour, and then you've got the afternoon rush hour. So it's pretty congested out there. But I think something like the Purple Line will take some of those cars off of the road.
That's going to be an interesting contest over there as well in District 16.
I've got a number of good friends running in that race, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, the senatorial seat being vacated by Brian Frosch, and then Bill's running for Attorney General as well. 2
open delegate seats and a Senate seat, so it's
going to be interesting. Time for us to take a break. We'll be right back.
Sounds good.
I'm Pat Smith. You're watching Inside Out. With me is Will Smith, a candidate for Maryland House of Delegates, District 20, which is Tacoma Park and Silver Spring. We'll be right back.
Packers. Viking. Packers. Viking. Viking.
Red state. Blue state. Vegan.
Carnivore.
We come from different places.
Uptown.
Downtown.
Optimist.
We come to different conclusions.
Half empty.
Half full.
But when we live united, we create real, lasting change in the building blocks of life. The education, income, and health of our communities,
Live.
our families,
United.
even the person next to us.
Live united.
Real change won't happen without you. So give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Sign up at liveunited.org.
Welcome back to Inside Out. I'm Pat Smith, and this is where we take you inside state, local, and federal government to bring their information out to you. Helping us do that tonight is Will Smith, a candidate for the Maryland House of Delegates, District 20, which is Tacoma Park and Silver Spring. Well, let's talk about education. Maryland, for the past number of years, 4, 5, 6 years or whatever, has been ranked the #1 state in the country for public education. And frankly, it's going to be a high bar to continue doing. What are your positions on education?
Sure. We've been the #1 public school system for the last 5 years. I want to work to ensure that we're the #1 public school for the next 5 years. But what I want to focus in on when I get into the House of Delegates is closing the achievement gap. And while there's no silver bullet to do this type of a thing, there are a couple of programs that I think that we can support and a couple of initiatives that I think that we can do as a state that will help close the achievement gap that, even though in Montgomery County and our #1 public school system is still pervasive. One is we can support local nonprofits and grant-based institutions like Judy Centers that provide early childhood education and after-school programs, and organizations like Gapbuster Learning Center, which is premised on closing the achievement gap. They also provide after-school services, training, tutoring, mentoring services, test-taking, preparatory services for folks that are in high school, and helping them get into college. So robust support of those grant-based institutions and nonprofits is a part of it that I'd like to see pursued to a greater degree. Also, all studies show that early childhood education is something that builds a sound foundation for educational learning and acumen. So early pre-K or universal pre-K in Maryland is something that I'm a huge proponent of and would like to see enacted.
What were the two programs you just mentioned so that we can have our viewers know of it and get that info so they can take advantage of it?
Sure.
It seems as though there's not, I don't know what they do in the school department to advertise these things or to bring people's attention to it.
Sure.
It was Judy and Gap.
That's right. These are institutions that are out in the communities. The Judy Centers focus again on early education for toddlers and younger folks, and that information can be found on their website. You can Google it. It's Judy Centers. And the Gapbuster Learning Center is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. I sit on the board of directors there. That's why I know intimately some of the work they do in Montgomery County and in Prince George's County. And that organization is premised on closing the achievement gap through focusing on folks from middle school to high school, helping them get into good study and practice habits, helping them identify resources in the community to close that gap, to boost up some of their shortcomings in their performance, and to provide emotional support and mentorship, and then to carry them on and get them through to college or a vocational school, post-secondary education, so that they can be successful members of society and contributors to our community. And they have a website, gapbusterlearningcenter.org, or you can Google it as well. And they're both just two examples of how the state can support these institutions to do outside of the school work.
How much state aid goes into them now?
Actually, the state aid that goes into them now, they're grant-based institutions. Each institution gets a different level of funding or tax relief if they qualify under a 501c3. So if they're a 501c3, then they're going to get certain tax relief for being that tax-exempt organization. Other institutions, it varies from year to year and from county to county on how much grant funding that they're eligible for and that they actually win.
So if our viewers had a child struggling in early grades, wanted to go to Judy, what is the cost?
The cost is minimal or to nothing. The folks can go there and avail themselves of the service, but the parents are going to have to be involved in this process, and that's another part of just education. Not only are we trying to educate the student, but also the families that they're a part of. It's a comprehensive approach. The cost is small or minimal to none, but the cost is really in the time and attention that a family and a parent is going to have to spend to get their child on the right track.
Which is the only way we're going to close this achievement gap is if the family, if the parents are involved.
Exactly right.
In making sure the homework's done and they're paying attention and giving them an example of what it means to be focused.
And responsible parenting. And like I said, there is no silver bullet for closing the achievement gap, but these are two initiatives that can be pursued by the state that can help.
Yeah, good tools. Let's talk about individual rights and civil rights and things of that nature. And we've had a lot of legislation recently in Maryland go through the House of Delegates. what can be done to make sure it's implemented?
Sure. My first paying job out of college was with the American Civil Liberties Union, so I have a healthy respect for civil liberties and civil rights, and particularly the Fourth Amendment for privacy. And one thing that I want to pursue is continue along the path of the decriminalization, the responsible decriminalization of marijuana, especially for de minimis or small amounts of marijuana. We're talking around 10 grams or less. That the prosecution and the arrest really clogs up our court systems. It takes away valuable resources from the public defender's office. It also tags young folks with a record that will follow them for the rest of their life and have long-term economic ramifications down the road there. So the responsible decriminalization is something that I really want to pursue. The ACLU in Maryland came out with a recent study that was rather troubling, that despite equal usage rates, that African Americans were 3 times more likely to be arrested and or prosecuted for marijuana possession in Maryland. That's something that's very troubling to me and to the residents in District 20, which is a majority minority district. It's something that I would look into pursuing to say state resources, channel those resources to more violent crime and to more pressing matters that need to be, especially because the state is also moving towards decriminalization for medical marijuana. A number of states have now legalized its use. So it's just something that we need to get ahead of the curve on.
Well, Maryland's way behind the curve on this.
That's right.
You know, as a Massachusetts native, and I know where those laws are at this point in the game and what have you, but it's so you've had a great experience in growing up. That you're talking about your parents, you know, being born the Jim Crow years. Were they activists as well in civil rights?
They were active participants in the movement. They weren't leaders of organizations. They weren't on the front lines of every march, but they were active participants in the movement, and they experienced this the segregated schools, and the height of the civil rights movement firsthand. So their experiences are something that I grew up with, and something that I treasured and valued. And I realized that those experiences opened up the doors to a lot of the opportunities, to all the opportunities that my generation has had, and that their life's examples really served as a roadmap and a reminder of how important giving back is. My mom always used to say that we drink deeply from wells of liberty and freedom that we did not ourselves dig, and that's something that has always stayed with me through my entire life.
Yeah. On some of these issues, to accomplish them when you're a member of the House of Delegates, you can propose legislation. You can try to get on a committee that you make sure you get to shepherd these things through to get a vote on them. It's a difficult office to hold to really have an impact on policy, don't you think?
Sure. I'm under no delusions of grandeur that I'm going to go in, propose everything, and it's going to the streets will be paved with gold, and I'll come back to the district saying, hey, we've changed the world in the first term. But there are a number of really solid things you can do, especially with respect to proposing legislation. So if the first committee that I would like to be on is Judiciary, it that handles everything from administrative law to a lot of the sentencing guidelines we were talking about today. And that is something, being an attorney, that's something that would be, I'd have a natural inclination towards. Our delegation also had, Sheila Hickson, the dean of our delegation, is chairwoman of Ways and Means. So it's unlikely that a freshman delegate from the same district would be placed in that district as well. It also helps us spread our influence around if you're on different committees for the district. So that's something that I would like to do and pursue as the Judiciary Committee. And I understand that the House of Delegates is extremely hierarchical, but that doesn't mean that things can't still get done.
Oh, no, they can.
That's right.
I'd be glad to speak to Chairman Valerio for it. Because we're going to need someone from Montgomery County, with Lewis Simmons now going to run for the Senate.
That's right.
In District 17. So we'll move along. Of course, Kathleen Dumay is vice chair, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Yeah. Very interesting. Did you ever consider running for county council?
No, I have not considered running for county council. The state legislature is something that's always been attractive to me because you can work on issues that affect the entire state. The county council is a tremendous place. I have a lot of friends there, and they do tremendous work. That's another relationship that I'd like to strengthen between the county delegation and the county council.
Mm-hmm.
So I look forward to doing that as well. But no, I've never been interested in running for county council.
There's almost a natural conflict between the county delegation to the state legislature and the council because of the pressure the council puts on to try to get more money back into the
That's right.
into the county, and so better relations there would be helpful.
It's paramount. It's of paramount importance, and I look forward to doing that.
We had Kumar Bave on the show this week as well in order to talk. He, of course, is the majority leader of the House of Delegates, and what the priorities were for the upcoming session. What do you see as the priorities for the upcoming session? Going to be an election year.
Sure.
They won't be doing a whole lot. They'll be waiting for you new guys to come
That's
on.
right. So a lot of things will be fiscally safe and not to rock the boat too much in an election year. But I really think that if we can make significant progress on transportation, if we can make significant progress on the Fairness for Marylanders Act, which is kind of the great undone from the last session, which was for the transgender community, sponsored by two Montgomery County senators, Rich Madaleno and Senator Jamie Raskin from my district in 20. I would like to see that pushed over the finish line, and if it isn't, I'd like to work. I'll work hard to push it across the finish line in the session afterwards. But there are a number of things that can be done in terms of transportation, education, and the Fairness for Marylanders Act, which prohibits discrimination for the transgender community in terms of lines of credit, in terms of housing, in terms of employment. So it's really the last undone from that perspective.
The Fairness for Marylanders Act, how close did it come to passing?
I think it got caught up in committee, if I was not, if I'm not mistaken. But it had strong support in the House, and I think it would pass with a few changes of the heart.
Did it get hung up in the Senate judicial proceedings?
I believe so.
Committee?
I'll have to double check on that.
Interesting. Well, Will, we've enjoyed having you on the show.
I appreciate it.
Is there anything else you'd like? Oh, tell our viewers how they can get to your website, what your contact information is.
Sure. If viewers want to check out some of our issue priorities and my campaign biography and our priorities, they can go to my website at www.willsmith4d20.com. They're also welcome to email me through the website portal, and we'll get back to you. So definitely encourage the viewers to check out our website and to learn a little bit more about the campaign and how we can keep the mantle of activist-driven progressivism moving forward in District 20.
Excellent. Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Will Smith, candidate for District 20, House of Delegates at Tacoma Park in Silver Spring. You've been watching Inside Out. I'm Pat Smith. Have a pleasant evening.